The person I've decided to pick for this conversation is my dad. He's the most conservative person I'd say I know. And I'm going to start it off again with the conversation surrounding if the police were abolished tomorrow, what do you think society would look like?
I think that there'd be a breakdown in the rule of law. I think that society needs a body, an institution to serve and protect.
So you're saying the only reason preventing people from committing crime now is the police?
I think that it's in people's nature that they want to take advantage of each other.
Okay. So say I'm now going to go to a very niche example, which is obviously Santa Barbara. And as we know that Harry and Meghan live here, it's a very wealthy area. So you're saying that you need like a big police institution. We've had this conversation a couple times now just to like get it right. And my dad mentioned before that he felt like he needed more police. Like that's the only way to solve crime. So Santa Barbara, for example, spends... I can't remember the exact statistic, but it spends more than like 40% of other like towns and cities the same size of it on policing force, despite the fact that the crime rate is like minuscule. There's nothing here. Like 9 times out of 10, it'll be like a drunk teenager being picked up on IV for like underage drinking, or it will be the homeless population that live in the middle of IV who will get, obviously, they've now criminalized it to, you can't sleep in your car, you can't like obviously publicly urinate, you can't, you can't camp outside, I don't think, anymore. They basically made it like illegal to be homeless, and this is what they've been spending like millions of dollars on. Like that's their big police institution, and the relationship between that is the fact that the crimes that they're actually policing are very low level crimes. They're not like these big like anarchical, as you say, like you imagine that the police force gone tomorrow, there's going to be like anarchy, when in actuality the policing is actually done is basically, there's this theory called like broken windows theory, which is basically the notion that like if you lived in like a little suburb or like a little village and there was like one of the villages that was like really disgusting and like graffitied and horrible, there'd be incentive for everyone else to clear it up. So there's like social graffiti, right? There's like social issues that people don't care for, especially in a town like Santa Barbara. Homeless people, drunk people, miscreants, people who litter, loiter, etc. That's who the police are actually cleaning up. That's who they're actually policing. So do you agree with that? So, do you think that that's right?
Well, okay, so the point I'd like to make is that the police don't make the law, they enforce the law. It's the lawmakers that make the law, the elected officials that are elected by the electorate. So it's the people of Santa Barbara that have voted in various officials that have created laws for that district or that's that area.
So it's funny you mention that because it's a fun little segue. There's this thing called the pig majority, which I will send you a link to that article, that actually does literally say what you've just said, is that it's not just the policing system, it's not just obviously, as you know, like the pigs, it's also the press, it's also you and I for our implicit bias, obviously, that everyone has as like white people living in white societies, etc. It's also the court system, it's the judges, it's the jury, it's the prosecutioners, press, obviously wider press, that are all part of the pig majority. They're all part of it. They all have a thing to, like, they all have a say in it. You're completely right that Santa Barbara, they make the laws, and the reason why they make these laws is to clean up the city in a way that doesn't actually prevent crime or solve crime. It's using incarceration to solve socioeconomic problems. Like, if you, God forbid, are ever homeless, would you not want the state that you'd A, been paying taxes for like your whole life, or B, I don't know, just like common decency, I guess, expect the state to provide the welfare infrastructure for you to get back on your feet again? Would you not want the money to go towards shelters?
Okay, obviously I would, but your argument that it is the police's fault and therefore remove the police from society.
I'm not saying it's just the police's fault. I'm saying that the police are the main interaction between homelessness, but
homelessness. The police are simply a tool.
a tool that they can make their own decisions. Do you know what I mean? And you're right, it's not obviously, it's the infrastructure of the police as a tool. It's not like the individual police officer. It's the way that policing is used in obviously it's like neoliberalism. It's the way that the police is used in our society to target certain people, to clean up certain people by society, by the state. That's the issue of police. Like, yeah, you're completely right. It's obviously not just like, oh, individual Bob person. Obviously, like, we're judging him for joining the police to begin with, and obviously it's his choice whether or not he upholds the law, whether he doesn't. Routinely, I think the police break the law constantly. Obviously, like, any single time, like, half the time it's because of training, like, that they don't know what decisions to make. I'm pretty sure in some states in America it's legal to rape people that you have in your custody. It was in New York up until very recently. So it's definitely law, and it's definitely, it was legal to have sex with someone in your custody if you arrested them, which is obviously rape because of the power imbalance.
Right.
And that's obviously, I don't know the example in America, in the UK, but yeah, no, I know. Like, and that's the thing, you're completely right that it's not just the police, but the police, when they are deployed in certain ways, when they decide where to deploy themselves or where to go, obviously they have some control over where they do then go police. Say for London example, this example that I've brought up a couple times now about stop and search. Stop and search is disproportionately weaponized against Black and brown people in London. They are something like, it's like 3 out of 5 will be stopped. And that's their only interaction with the police. And obviously, if you surveil a community more, you're going to find more. But I'm pretty sure if they went to like HSBC or wherever and surveilled them, they'd find stuff too. It's like, just because you're constantly profiling these people, of course you're going to find crime because you're constantly profiling them. So I don't understand why. Oh yeah, you made the point already. You made the point exactly, that it's the lawmakers. They're deliberately utilising the police as a tool to profile certain communities. So it's not to prevent crime.
Yeah.
It's to impose, I don't know, white supremacy.
And the only way to properly change it is to remove the lawmakers, and then you elect people that want to do the right things and create standards within police forces and go after the criminals, the proper criminals in society.
It was like one of the sorry, continue.
Sorry, go on. No, go on.
No, I was just gonna say what was I gonna say? Jesus. No, wanting society for the better. Like one of the examples, obviously, R. Kelly, that they were using in one of the articles I was reading to prepare for this conversation. And it literally says, like, imagine if he was stripped of his resources and social capital the first time that he was accused of something like this. Like, imagine if all of these people, like, within, that are known to commit crimes, or Harvey Weinstein, that there was security and space for the survivor to determine their own justice and felt safe enough to do so. It's like all of these horrible examples of like horrible men in our society, and it's like the police don't actually solve any of it, or at least even the lawmakers, or at least just the way that it's built as a whole, that it doesn't benefit survivors of assault. The
most amusing example this week, it was Dominic Raab, the Justice Secretary, saying live on Sunday television in the context of the Downing Street 2020 Christmas party that was done during lockdown and broke all sorts of laws, that the police do not investigate retrospective crimes.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that's exactly what the police do. But that's what I mean. Do you not think it's weird how the police benefit certain people and are weaponized against certain other people?
I do.
Do you not think it's bizarre that Boris Johnson, our Prime Minister Boris Johnson, was found with, he wasn't found with cocaine, but cocaine was found in the near vicinity of his office. And obviously the only people that have access to his office are all of our MPs and lawmakers. And yet at the same time, people are being stopped and searched in London for weed possession and getting incarcerated. Like, it's bizarre that they can have this like double attitude of like
Well, it's
one rule
just
for
it's
them,
Animal
another for
Farm.
us.
Yeah, it's Animal Farm, Isabel.
Yeah, true. I'm trying to think, did you have any other questions? Because we're coming up, or we're on the 10-minute mark. I don't know how this is meant to end. I don't know, do you have any other stuff where you're like, oh, I want to know more about this thing, or you've actually got a point? Because I don't want it to be a thing where like it's scapegoated from a conversation about the police to a conversation about the MPs, because I think they're both at fault here.
I think in the context of do I think that, you know, we need to do without the police, I disagree with that statement. I think that what we could do without, or what we need to replace, are the lawmakers, because the vast majority of them are self-interested, corrupt politicians.
Okay.
In all walks of life.
But what about policing as an institution that is used to solve? So it's the same thing. It's obviously, it's all feather of the same bird.
I think the police as an institution to solve crimes, I think they're perfectly capable of doing that. I just don't think that that's where they're directed.
Where do you think they're directed?
I think majority of the time that they're directed to serve their masters.
So politicians and lawmakers, basically.
Yeah.
But do you not think that would be doomed to happen every single time that you replace the lawmakers, due to the nature of the police serving white supremacist upper class people? Do you not think that's the cycle it's doomed?
But I don't think that by doing away with a police force from society would solve the problem, because then I think that you'd probably be, you know, out of the frying pan and into the fire.
Okay.
Because I think that there's too many, you know, self-serving individuals that want to take advantage of others, and there's too many weak people in the world that would be taken advantage of through, whether it's through crime-related activities or. And they need protecting.
They need what?
Hmm?
They need what?
They need protecting.
Okay. But this is the last point I will make, because obviously I do need to end this thing. You are making the assumption, once again I'm bringing it back to America, that the majority of the people incarcerated are people who have committed heinous crimes, bad crimes, taken advantage of people, etc., etc. When a lot of the times in California, for example, obviously there's the 3-strike rule. 3-strike rule, Dad. I could be caught for shoplifting. I could then get a traffic violation. I could then, what else have you done in your lifetime? Public intoxication underage. 3-strike rule.
I know.
How does that work? How is that a thing that is?
Well, it's a stupid law.
But it's the law. But that's policing.
No, it's not policing. It's a stupid law. You know, it should be struck off as you know, as a law, because as you just gave the example, you know, of 3 very minor crimes that have been committed, or law breaking, you know, has been committed, and somebody is incarcerated for 20 or 30 years.
I know.
Which is just utterly preposterous. So,
and you're saying that the fault in that lies in the lawmakers and not the police officer who would have made the arrest?
He's following the rules.
Dad.
Well, he is though, isn't he? Because they're the laws.
No, I understand that. I just think there's something inherently wrong with the police system.
Yeah, but if somebody shoplifts, they're committing. They know they're committing a crime. You know, let's put aside, you know, why they're shoplifting. They may just enjoy nicking stuff. They get a kick out of it.
You do understand that a lot of the time. Yeah, I get what you mean, but a lot of the times it isn't just that. But continue.
Yes, yeah, but you know, they're breaking the law. They're pushing the average cost of that product up because, you know, from the law of economics, etc., which then impacts society in general.
Okay.
So the police are there to stop that, but that
to
doesn't
protect
mean
profit.
that the three strike law is the right thing, because it's not.
Okay, so my last point before, because we're on 15 minutes, is in terms of, do you believe, because obviously prisons were created to rehabilitate prisoners to go back into society.
Well, they weren't, were they?
But that's the whole...
Prisons have been around a very, very long time, and I'm pretty sure when they were first created, they were not there to rehabilitate people. They were there to incarcerate, lock them away, and throw the key away.
I don't know if that's correct.
Well, okay, but that's my view on it.
Okay, so in that case then, the three strike law that we just brought up, I've just been caught for underage drinking. I'm now facing probably deportation, second 20 to 30 years in jail. Is that justice?
No, it's
is that a good use of taxpayers' money?
No.
Is that a good reflection on society? Does incarceration solve social problems?
No.
Until the mid-70s, rehabilitation was a key part of US prison policy, according to the internet. No longer is, though, I'd say. Because a lot of the times the committing crime rate, whatever the term is for that, is something like huge, like 84% of prisoners. So it's like it doesn't even act as a deterrent to crime.
There's the argument that prison is a school, because you can go to prison and you can learn all sorts of new skill sets.
Okay, so my counter to that would be the after going to jail and after having after having a felony record, for example, you can no longer get employed by many institutions. You can no longer go into social housing. You can no longer have access to welfare checks. You no longer have the society state welfare system that's meant to help people. It kind of just leaves people, and what do they have left? What after I've been just caught for underage drinking, I'm now served my 20 years, I've got a felony record because of the three strike law, can't get hired by any jobs, can't continue my education, I've lost my voting rights, I'm not even a person anymore. How does that work? And that's the majority of the people, the 2.3 million people that have been incarcerated in America. It's laws like that, or it's very strict drug laws, possession of weed, when we know that a lot of people, they've decriminalized it in California. Have they released the people criminalized because of it? No. So it's like all of these instances of like increased policing on certain communities that lead to these, and then they're dead after. They can't be productive members of society. They can't contribute to economics because they can't get hired. They can't vote. They can't leave the state. Like, they can't do anything because they underage drunk one time, or because they stole because they didn't have any money, because they didn't have any welfare checks, because the state doesn't look after them. Like, that's the majority of the people in prison. So how does that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get all of that, and I agree with you. It's and that's what I was saying to you. I don't think that incarceration is set up for rehabilitation.
Okay.
Because it's what happens afterwards doesn't address those issues. But the thing I'll probably leave with you is so you're driving down the road, okay, and he crashes into your car.
Who does?
Somebody.
Okay.
And you get out of the car and they laugh at you and they drive off. What do you do?
I'd probably call you.
What could I do?
I don't know, you're my dad. If someone just a random.
Yeah, just a random.
I'd probably call my insurance agency. Because I probably didn't get. Did I get his details? Did I get his car insurance details?
You've seen his registration. You might have seen his car registration.
Would I have memorised that?
Copus mentis. You might have taken a picture of it.
Okay, then I would have contacted my insurance people and been like, "Hey, this is who crashed into me." Because guaranteed, Dad, I'm so much love. Are the police going to have like a high-speed car chase down Framston? Are they going to catch the guy? Probably not. Will I have to deal with police officers being like, "Are you sure this happened?" Like, what? They're going to ask me questions and be like, "Did someone crash into you?" And be like, "Yeah."
Okay, then another example then. You are in the house on a Saturday night.
Okay.
Mum and Dad are out.
Okay.
The dogs are no longer here.
Oh, that was if on cue.
As if on cue, yeah. And it's the middle of the night. You're woken up. You hear a noise.
Okay. Home invasion.
What do you do?
Well, if the dogs are no longer here and it's literally me by myself, I would probably drive to Auntie Lisa's.
They can't get out of the house.
Why can't I get out of the house?
They're in the house.
Oh.
But they don't know you're there yet. Would you phone the police? Would that be your reaction, is to phone the police to get help?
I get what you're trying to do, but how quickly would the police get there, given where we live?
You would not in that situation be sitting there in the dark, okay, trembling, thinking, how long will it take the police to get here? You would be thinking...
But that's the thing, that's the issue with the police, is that we're reliant on this infrastructure, but are they actually successful? We have to ask ourselves these questions.
Which comes back to my point I made earlier about there needs to be more police, more bobbies on the beat.
Have we ever been broken into? Do we live in a high crime area? No. Would this ever happen? Probably not. However, if I was in that situation, if I called the police, would they get there on time? If I'm going to be assaulted, like if this is going to happen, if they're going to kill me, are they going to prevent that from happening? That's the question.
There are police based in Debenham.
I just don't think realistically, like, they would be much help in that situation, honestly. And guaranteed 9 times, if they're invading the house and they're already in, like, they're already in. Calling the police show up, they're like, bad things are already happening. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't...
Okay.
I think that's also a very niche example again. Would I call the police in terms of... I wonder if there's anything that I can read to police, abolition, home invasions, argument. But in all honesty, if the point of me calling the police is to prevent them from stealing stuff, like...
No, the point of you phoning the police is so you got protection.
But I just... Is it a home invasion, or are they there to kill? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the questions that we have to ask ourselves. Is like, are they stealing for money? Would they leave me alone? Anyway, right, it's been 22 minutes, so I'm gonna end the thing now.
Okay.
But thank you.